Hi, this is Mark from Wiki Design. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an advanced custom Google map for your website without touching any code. Normally, to pull off a custom map like this, you would need to know how to use JavaScript. The team over at Crocoblock created a really useful plugin called JetElements that is going to give you the ability to create a custom Google map like this. So in this example, I'm going to show you how I was able to create this custom map with these three hotspots right here. So you can see you click them and a little message comes up and you can click here and it will take you to that specific website. To follow this tutorial, you will need to install Elementor, and you want to go ahead and purchase this plugin right here called JetElements. And if you look down here, it comes with 44 different widgets. So this is a really good deal because a lot of these other widgets are very useful. Things like responsive tables, these horizontal and vertical timelines. And I will be creating other videos on these widgets in the future. After you've purchased and activated the JetElements plugin, the very first step, this is the most complicated step, is actually to go ahead and create your Google Map API key. And so they have a really good article right here on how to do it step by step. So to keep this tutorial a lot shorter, I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and you can either watch the video, or as you can see, I'm going to link to this in the description below. They show you step by step on how to activate your API key and how to put it into the settings for Crocoblock. So you're going to want to input your API key in here. Now that you've added your API key, we can go ahead and drop in this widget right here. So now when you're in Elementor, you're just going to go ahead and click and drag in this widget right here called Advanced Map. And as you can see, I have this one already. So I'm just going to walk you through all of these things, and I'm going to give you some extra added bonuses on how you can get icons like this. I'm also going to show you how I was able to remove a lot of these labels here and how you can actually go ahead and style up these Google Maps any way you want. So in theory, you can change all of the color of the roads or the asphalt here or the park colors. You can change all of this stuff within this Google interface. I'm going to show you later in this tutorial. As you can see, the advanced map does have quite a few settings. It's just enough to kind of get you going and have some custom markers. Now let's go ahead, and the very first thing you need to do is figure out where you want your map center. So as you can see right here, I have it at Philadelphia. So you could type in anything. So I'm originally from Tampa. So if you just typed in Tampa, what it's going to do is it's going to search and it's going to put you right in the middle of where Google thinks Tampa is. So in this case, it's right in the downtown area. And after you do that, you're going to want to change your zoom level right here. So let me go back to Philadelphia because that's where I have my existing markers. So as you can see, when you type it in, it's using that API that you just signed up for, and it's figuring out where it is. So it might be a little bit of a lag, like a second or two. It has to find it and then serve you up where it's going to be. And as you can see right here, the zoom level is at 13. So if I go really low to like a 3, it's going to zoom out to the whole entire country. So depending on your use case, you're going to want to go ahead and move this slider along. So you can see, just like when you type in the address, there's a little bit of a delay. So what I have that at before, like a 13. And these are really good settings right here. You're going to see stuff turn on and off. So right here, scroll wheel zoom. So this gives you the ability. Right now I'm using my mouse to scroll in and out. So you can either enable that or disable that. I like to enable that. Zoom controls is right here. It's going to remove those. So I recommend keeping those on. It gives the user different ways to interact with your map. Full screen control, so this button right here will go full screen. That's up to you if you want to keep it. I like having that. Street view controls, this guy right here, so if you click and drag it. So as you can see, when you try to interact with the map inside Elementor, certain elements, it's going to mess it up because you're actually moving it in Elementor and not in the website. See right here, I tried to click and drag in the map. You need to actually go to the front end of the website to kind of see that functionality. So this was the street view. So if you're not familiar, what that is you can pull in the street view and you can kind of see how it is when Google drove their cars on the street. So in a lot of cities throughout the world, they have this. So if you're in an area where they don't have street view, I recommend maybe just turning that off. So in this case, I just have it at show. And then this right here is the map controls and map satellite. So you can have the user toggle between satellite or map. It's up to you if you want to keep that on or off. I kind of like having that on, so I'm just going to keep that on. And then is map draggable? Yeah, same thing. So do you want to have it where the user can do this, or not do that. So I think in most cases, you're going to probably want to keep that at yes. Now in the next section, they give you some controls on how you can style the map. Right here, you're going to want to probably change the height. I believe by default it was at 300. So I have it at 500. You're going to see if I do this, it's going to increase it by 100 pixels. So whatever's going to fit in your website, make sure you change the height there. And what's good is you can change it depending on, tablet, mobile, anything like that. So let's just stick to desktop for this tutorial. And as you can see under map styles, I have it as custom. So when you first use this widget, it's going to be default. And if you look right here, it's going to bring back all these labels and all of these different things like the trains here. So it's a little bit messy. So later in the tutorial, I'm going to show you how I was able to go to custom and how you can grab this code right here and remove all of that stuff if you don't want it. So let's just go ahead and keep that there. Now comes the fun part, is where we can actually figure out what icons or pins we want to have on our map. Now I have a bunch of different examples of where you can get these different markers if you don't want to create them yourself. I'll show you a bunch of free ones, and then I'll show you how I was able to get these with a paid version with Icon Scout. So a good one right here to start with is flat icon. So if I wanted to go ahead and one of the examples I have is a pizza place I really like. So you could go to something like a flat icon, and let's say you like this pizza. You can go ahead and just download the PNG right here. You won't be able to get the SVG image unless you have a paid account. But if you just need to get some free icons, this is a really good place to start, is flat icon. So this is another really good useful website too that has a lot of custom icons, and you can actually change the color of them. So let's go ahead and say I like something like this one. And let's say I want to make it where it's red. You can just go ahead, change the wheel right here, and you just click the download button. So these are going to be 96 pixel PNGs. And then what's nice is you can go down to the map, and they allow you to kind of add it so you can kind of see how it's going to look. And this is another good resource. These are actually a lot of the old original pins that Google used to use years ago. So this website has a lot of them saved. So if you go down, you can see they have tons of different icons in this website. So let me go down to the bottom and show you where the default pins are. So right here, they have all the different colors, ones with dots in them. So if you like any of these images, you can just right click, save image as, and then it will save it as a PNG, and then you can use that in the next step. And if you scroll down to the bottom of this website, they have ones with numbers and letters. So these could be really useful. And then right down here, they kind of have the generic ones. So this is a good resource. And this is another good free resource. We can go ahead and choose some of their custom icons, and then they give you the ability to change the different colors. So you could just, let's say you have a burger. You can just go here, and let's say you want to make it blue. You would just do something like this. Generate, and then it says right here to download and host the icons yourself. You right click and save image as. And then one of my favorite websites is Icon Scout. We have a paid membership with this website, and that's where I got 2 of these icons. So in this example, they have the Museum of Art here in Philadelphia. This is the front entrance right here. Fun fact, this is where Rocky runs up the steps and then never goes into the museum. So this is actually a really, really good museum, and he doesn't go in it. But anyways, you can go into here, and a website like Icon Scout, they give you the ability to download them as a lot of different formats. And the most important one to me is SVG. And another good thing is if you go into here, they give you the ability to change all the different colors. So you can see these are all the different colors in that image. And so if I want to change the sky color to like a purple, you can see it's right there. And then I would just go ahead and download it as the SVG. So if you need icons that are a lot more customized, you can use something like an Icon Scout, and they give you the ability to download these things as SVGs and very customized. Now that you have your icons downloaded, we can go ahead and start adding the pins to the map. So in this case, I have the Liberty Bell, the Museum of Art here in Philadelphia, and then just my favorite pizza place in the city. So same thing, when you go and you open up a new pin, you just click Add Item, and then it's going to pull up this, and if you know the coordinates of your places, which you probably don't, you're going to want to probably just stick with address. And then if you aren't familiar with what it's being called in Google Maps, you can always just go to a regular Google map and just type in something like Liberty Bell, and it will come up automatically. So if I remove that, it's going to disappear. But if I go ahead and just paste that back in there as Liberty Bell, it knows where the Liberty Bell is. And then this next section right here is your pin description. So this is when the user clicks on your icon, what is it going to show? It's going to pop up this little box right here. And in this case, I just have it say visit the Liberty Bell. And then if you scroll down here, they have link text, which is the clickable link. I just have is learn more, and then I just have a link to the Liberty Bell. And the way it works is when you're inside this description right here, any sort of styling you need to do within this little editor right here. So in this case, I have them where the title is a heading 5. So if I go ahead and make that a heading 1, it's going to make it really large. So you got to wait for that to update sometimes, and you can see that's really large. So if you know a little CSS, you can always go in here and do your custom styling, but this is going to pull in whatever you have at your theme level. So whatever your paragraph text size is, that's just going to be picked up from your theme. So let's go back into here and make this back to like an H5 because it's not too big on this website, so H5s aren't bad. And then this is where you're going to go ahead and upload your SVG or your custom marker that you downloaded. So in this case, you could see I have my Liberty Bell right here. It's just an SVG image. So I already had some other examples. PNGs will work fine, JPEGs. In most cases, you're going to probably want to use PNGs and SVGs. Those are the two formats that I use the most often. And that's because you need to have it where there is no background. Because if you have an image and there's like a white background, it's going to look like a white box. You know, you're going to see that. So that's why those websites are good, because you could just download them as PNGs or SVGs and just upload them. So once you do that, you would just insert that into here. And then by default, it's probably going to look like this. And depending on how big that image is, that's what it's going to try to render out inside the map. So that's why they give you this option right here called Pin Icon Custom Size. You need to just go ahead and just change it to something that looks good at the default zoom level. That's kind of what I would recommend. Because if you zoom in here, it's going to try to always just stay. In this case, you can see at 60 pixels. So that's not bad. That's not too big, not too small. So let's go back into about there. And you're going to want to make sure that you keep these consistent. So in most cases, when you download these things, they're squares. So if you download, let's say, a PNG and it's 512 by 512, you're going to want to go ahead in here and just keep it at like 60 or 60, or if you need it larger, 80. Just try to keep it the same width and height as if you're scaling down. And then by default, they have this on. So when the user would go to the map, the initial state is going to be visible, but you can go ahead in here and just click hidden. So if you want to have it where the user will have to click on these, I recommend doing that. So I would say only keep this visible if you have maybe just a few or maybe just one, and that means the user won't have to click to see the box. So it would look like this if they opened it up. So if you have a whole bunch of them, it could get a little messy, because you can see right here, if you open all 3 at once, they overlap like that. So let's go ahead and just keep that at hidden. And if I go down to same thing I did here, so the Philadelphia Museum of Art right here, I did the same thing. That's what Google Maps calls it. So I was able to just go in here and paste that in, and it knew exactly where it was. Or if you always have the physical address, you can just type that in as well. And very much the same. I just kept the thing at H5 here. This one I have it say visit website, and I have it go to the Philadelphia Museum. And then same thing with the pizza one. It's pretty standard, just like the other ones, so I'm not going to go through that one. Let me close that down. And now if you go under style, they give you some options right here. So pin width, this is the width of this box right here. So you can see if I slide that over, it's going to get a little bit bigger. And if I slide it down, it's going to really stack. So you're going to want to figure out how wide it's going to look on something like a desktop, and make sure that it stays pretty good on mobile as well. So you can go into here, go on mobile, and you're going to probably have to zoom out to make sure this works. And you can see that looks a little big, so you can always go into your typography here for the link styles, which is right here, and you can make that smaller. So let's go ahead and say on mobile, I don't want that so big. You could just shrink that down. And then this right here was your H5 heading, so you're going to probably have to go into some CSS and change that if you need to. But it doesn't look that bad on mobile. I did a test on it earlier, and it looks pretty good. So let's go back into the regular desktop mode. Zoom back in. And yeah, so these link styles right here is how you can control this right here. So the typography size, you can make it big, small, whatever's going to fit your website. It's a little too big. Let me lower that. And then they give you some default margins. So if it's a little too close to the bottom here, you can always go ahead and add, let's say like a 20, and that will give it a little breathing room down here. And then they do give you the option to align it left, center, right. So you can do that. What I recommend is if you have this centered, keep this centered as well. It looks a little weird if it's like that, especially if you have margins or anything like that. So usually just keep it centered. And then they give you the different options to change the text color on normal and hover. So if you look on hover, it goes to a black color. I just went under hover and changed it to a black. And that's the only styling they do give you. I wish they gave you a little bit more, but this is all the styling they do give you for the maps. Now that we have all those good to go, we can come back into the map style, and I'm going to show you how I was able to remove all of these streets right here. The reason why I wanted to show you this is because I created this video earlier this year on how to use Google My Maps. And one of the most requested questions is how can you remove all of these different markers? So you could see in this example, there's tons of these different businesses and markers. And with something like a Google My Maps, you can't go ahead and actually change how the styling of the map works. But in this plugin, you can. So this is a very good use case on why you may want to remove that, because when you're in a really densely populated area like Philly, you're going to see it's way overwhelming to see where your marker is. Because in this example, I just have my marker right here, but you would never even know because it's being overtaken by all these different markers. It just becomes very busy. So that's where this comes into play, where you can go ahead and by default, like I said, when you first open up the map, it's going to show default, which is what the normal Google Maps looks like. They do have some cool ones in here that you can go ahead and see if any of them kind of fit what you're looking for. They have a lot of good ones in here, but what is really powerful is, like I said, they have this thing called custom. And now I'm going to show you how you can get that code and how you can visually change all of this stuff in Google Maps. So what you do is you go to this website called mapstyle.withgoogle.com. So I'll leave this in the link in the description below. And when you get to the website, you can just click no thanks on this because we want to go ahead and just do this in the browser. So now let's go ahead and zoom out because we're in Seattle. Let's go into Philly where I'm doing this tutorial. And yeah, as you can see, all of these markers, they need to go. And what's really nice is you could do this real easy. Check this out. If you go underneath labels and you start to slide them down, you're going to see it's going to remove all of these different labels. Like in this case, Philly has a lot of different neighborhoods. So this looks really cluttered. So you can just lower this slider right here to no labels. And so now you just have roads, the parks, anything like that. That's nice. So now you can go ahead and start to remove anything like landmarks. If there was any landmarks that were coming in, you can see like that's railroad tracks. You can get rid of those if you wanted. And then there's just like some of these parks. So we can keep some of those, I guess. And then they also give you the ability to remove the roads. So as you can see, the busy street crossroads, they go first. And then if you start to slide down, it's going to take some of the bigger roads away. And then it's going to remove all the highways. So this is a really powerful tool. And this is just scratching the surface. If you go underneath to more options, you're going to see they give you the ability to turn on and off pretty much anything. And you can actually change the color of these things. So I'm just going to show you some cases on how you can do this and how you copy that code and put it in. So let's go ahead and say we don't like this gray color and you may want to change it to something else. What you could do is underneath landscape, you can go into something like geometry, fill, and you see this color right here. You can just turn that on and all of those gray colors is now going to be whatever custom color you want in here. So if you want it to be blue for some reason, you could just do that and boom, there you go. You can change the lightness. They give you tons of different options within here. It's really nice, to be honest with you. And if for some reason you don't want to have that blue, for example, you just uncheck that. And you can just go back up to here. And let's say you can change the labels here. Let's go down to the water. Let's say you want to change the color of the water for some reason. You can make it a green. Now you have green water. It's pretty crazy what you can do in this tool. So once you start to play around with these settings, what you do is you go ahead and you hit this finish button right here. And you see this code right here? This is your JSON code. So you just click that button where it says copy JSON and just go back into your widget right here and you just paste that into here. So in this case, I already had this one where it removed all the labels, landmarks, all of that stuff. And that's how I was able to get that custom map right there. So let's go ahead, just hit update, and let's do some testing on the front end. So if I go here, hit refresh, you can see you got the icons working, that margin's coming in, and yeah, everything seems to be working good. And if I zoom in, I'm zooming in with the mouse and it works good. And yeah, you can see right here that when you do get close enough, it will pop in the buildings. And yeah, there's the best pizza in Philly right here. Perfect. So this is exactly what I wanted to do. I would say one of the most powerful parts of this plugin is giving you the ability to make this custom JSON file. That's a really powerful tool that not a lot of other plugins have. And then, of course, just having your pins here, that's really useful as well. I hope that this plugin is helpful, and let me know in the description below if you were able to create some really cool maps. I would love to see some of your custom maps, and maybe I can share them in a future video. And that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you give it a like, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and hit that bell to receive notifications when I release new tutorials like this. Again, this is Mark from Wiki Design.